I would love to take a call right now. So let's talk
Yes, let's do it.
to Jamie from Texas, he, him pronouns. Let me just pull up Jamie.
Hi,
Hello.
Jamie.
Hello. Hello there.
How
Hi,
you
Jamie.
doing?
Righto. Thanks for taking my call. I'm going to do what I've done a couple of times on this show, which is basically bear my own silliness and hopefully it be a catalyst for conversation. So my question or my topic was about verisimilitude in porn, the feeling of it being honest and real. I really like it. I like the idea of the people that I'm watching and getting off to are enjoying doing what they're doing.
Yes.
However, it's why like one of my most searched tags is like amateur. But of course, I'm not completely blinkered and blinded to the realities of the industry. That a lot of those things are staged; they're just made to look amateur. And I have a suspicion that certain tastes that I've developed over the years have been influenced by trends and not particularly healthy ones. For example, a shaved mons. I like the look of it, but I know that it has detrimental health effects potentially. And even more to that, I also have a suspicion that a lot of the vaginas I'm seeing have undergone vaginoplasty, labiaplasty, and that's more common than people would like to say. And I'm thinking, so I've got this cognitive dissonance, like, oh, I really like the look of that, and it's presented as real, but is it a crafted illusion? And have I been suckered in by that, basically?
You can see me and
Like
Courtney
crafted
No, I want to say too that, yeah, this is something that comes up a lot. People are constantly talking about, oh, well, you feel bad about your own vagina, your own vulva, your labias, because you're watching porn and everybody in porn has had labiaplasties. And so that is why you're comparing your body against this unrealistic standard. I have been in the industry 20 years. I can say that I have seen a vast plethora of vulvas and labias, and they look all different. And some of them do look small and pink and pretty, and I guess what would be considered by some ideal. And some look, big and red, and some look, one labia is flapping off to one side, the other's flapping smaller on the other side. And I'm trying to point out that like the amount of vulvas that I have seen in this business varies greatly. And I'm not going to say that no one in porn has had a labiaplasty, but I am going to say that I think it's probably way fewer than you imagine in your head. And it's the same thing about the pubis mons being shaved. That is really a personal decision. And I do think in the maybe early 2000s, it was a thing where it was like, oh, everyone had to have it shaved. But, I will say like Sasha Grey came along and she had this big patch of hair and she was the biggest porn star in the world at that time. And I was like, if she can do it, why can't I do it? And then I started growing that patch of hair on the top. And then now we see it all the time. So, I think it might have to do with like the porn you're consuming, the places where you're looking for it, and that is what is being served up to you. But that is just not, it's certainly not my reality in porn. And then lastly, I just am really curious why you think there are like medical issues around shaving your mons.
I've just watched, it's not like terrible, but it's like you get micro tears from the razors and that can cause a higher risk of potential infection. It's the same as the kind of thing when you shave, like I shave my face and head, so I get cuts and tears and they can get infected. And the thing is, because it's a warm, damp area, and yes, it is self-cleaning, but it is it is an orifice and therefore potentially susceptible to infection.
He's
Okay.
actually not wrong.
No. Totally
At
not.
all.
But the only thing that I think is a little off is that so the part that's self-cleaning is the inside of the vagina.
Yes.
That's what cleans itself for the most part, but the pH can get thrown off and you get an infection that way. But when we're talking about shaving, so I shave the sides, for example. I shave the sides and the undercarriage area, but not the top that much. And so I have had where like an ingrown hair happened and I was trying to like squeeze it out and then it did get infected and I got a boil down there. But that is not the same as getting like a sexually transmitted infection. That is
No,
infection.
I didn't mean that. I mean, literally, I literally meant like not an STI, like literally, like an ingrown hair or a large pimple or just an infected hair follicle. So
it is really irritating to use a razor, but we have a lot of options these days. I just this morning went and got laser down on my pussy, and it's been working amazingly for me. But we do have lots of other options. There are lots of products to help ease razor burn and stuff like that. So, Courtney, do you want to comment on anything? I didn't want to like steamroll this.
Well, personally, I think a lot of it these days boils down to personal preference. So, I do I definitely have heard like kind of horror stories or complaints in the past. I didn't want to shave my legs for this. I didn't want to shave my armpits for this. I didn't want to shave my pubic mons. But it's being required of me. And it's at that point that I want to have like this little uncomfortable conversation about like sex work. Is that, we live in a capitalist society and sometimes, you have to do things for your job, regardless of whether it's porn or music or being a doctor. And like, hygiene matters and like my hair color matters. Like there's just certain things that we do for work that may help with business, may help with marketing, may make us feel comfortable on set, so someone's body hair is usually, I haven't heard it talked about in a really long time, actually. I do feel like Sasha made a big difference. And, I just wanted to say like, I know like there's just some like situations where you don't want to shave the pubic mons, but I don't think that that's really like a medical thing. But I was like, you are right. Like you can get pimples or, aggravate your HPV. You can aggravate herpes. So those are two things that I would say like, hey, caller, that's some good sexual health.
But
I also think if you're watching contemporary porn and someone has a fully shaved vulva, that's probably their choice.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing about the sort of the labiaplasty, I want to go back to that for a second. I will just say that when even going back to my early days before there was a lot of me on the internet, I was hired based off of my performances, my previous performances, or people that I knew that were referring me to other people. I'd get booked and then no one would ever ask to see my vulva before I did the scene. It's not like I would get on the scene and then take off my pants and I'm about to have sex and they're like, wait a minute, is her vulva more red than the rest of her body? And are her labia lips showing on the outside? Oh, that's it. Everybody go home. We're not shooting this scene. Like that has literally never happened. And I had some anatomical differences down there and like no one has ever mentioned it. No one has ever said, ooh, that's disgusting, you're fired. Like, so that's just my experience is that, some women who get into porn have these so-called ideal vulvas or whatever. And, lots of us do not. And that's never kept us from getting booked or hired or selling our products or anything. So I just really want to assure you that if you like the way a certain vulva looks, that's probably just something that you like. And it's the same thing with if you like the way a shaved pussy looks, that's probably just something that you've grown to like. And I don't think you need to feel any sort of guilt for that because there doesn't need to be any. These are just like the way our bodies are.
Yeah, I always like to think, or at least do my best to seek out porn that I am as fairly certain as possible has been made by people who enjoy it, who are doing it for fun, or at least enjoying their work, so to speak. Which kind of brings me on to my second topic, just quickly, the rise of the virtual cam girl. Like, if people are a little bit shy about showing their actual body, real-time puppeting a virtual one. If you've ever heard of Project Melody, I think she's one of the more famous ones.
I have for sure. And I'm okay. So like, I'm a tech nerd. Like, I love computers. I love VR. Like, I love TikTok. I love like all of this new stuff that's happening. Like, not the metaverse, but like in virtual reality and virtual meeting spaces. And like, I went to South by Southwest and was like having like dinner with some tech people who were building like a holographic strip club, and I got really excited about it. So like, I don't know, like, really have an answer to your question, but like, I'm definitely a huge fan of virtual cam girls, and I definitely don't even think it's about confidence. Like, I think it's actually like maybe a little bit of a fetish for me, and I want to try it. And it sounds really fun. Oh my God, but how many options are there to like play dress up and try on different bodies?
The things you have seen, you can just modify yourself in any way you like. Be whatever you want to be. It's one of the wonderful things about virtual reality, that you can wear whatever form you wish. I called into an earlier show about that. So yeah, absolutely. The one problem with that is that sometimes the barrier for entry can be somewhat high in terms of tech, the cost for really good motion tracking. But I'm sure there's plenty of resources out there, and I'm sure since you're all in the industry, you could reach out to Mel and say, "Hey, what's your rig? Like, how can we? Can you
reach out to Mel? I know the coder behind Mel. Yeah, like."
Well, I want to thank you for your questions,
because they're doing in my future. So that's a great topic, Jamie. Thank you.
Yeah, those are some really, really good questions, and I just wanted to roll in really fast as the non-performer in the group, who consumes her own porn but does not make it. That I wanted to kind of throw out there that I wanted to validate two things that you said. First of all, that you want to see porn where you know that people you're reasonably sure that people enjoy themselves. That is fantastic, and I love hearing people say that, and I feel the same way. Whether I'm consuming it by myself or with my husband, like, I will stop a video for that very reason. Like, nope, she doesn't look like she's enjoying herself, and that is a huge turn off for me. So even if someone else is enjoying it, it's gonna be a hard no, and it's gonna go off. So, like, I really wanted to validate you and just tell you how much I appreciate that as well. But also the thing about the vulvas, when you were asking that question, I really get that. Whether it's vulvas or shaving or any sort of body type, I had a lot of body issues in my younger years based on the porn I was consuming, because that was the way that I saw naked women at the time. Like, I didn't see them in the real world per se. So, that did cause some issues and confusion for me when I was much younger, and so that is something that I think is a relevant topic to bring up about the porn industry, is just the variety of porn that's actually out there versus what we get exposed to if we don't know where to look. So, I'm gonna let you go now, but I really appreciate your call, and I think you made some really, really good points that are worth talking about. So, Jamie, yeah, thank you for calling in.
Absolutely.